What's up, y'all? Today we're gonna learn the guitar solo from Panama by Van Halen. While you're at it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out our Patreon. All right, let's jump into the solo. Okay, so Panama, this is a really great solo. I'm gonna start off by saying it's really tough to get a Van Halen solo 100%. When I teach Van Halen solos, a lot of times I will just say, here are the 4 parts, just get from one to the next on time and do your best with them, because he's not always on like a really tight grid. So just keep that in mind going into this solo. Now obviously I started it off with the chorus part, which is like an E, A, and D power chord. And then I always did this with my index finger. You slide from 5 to 7 and back to 5 on the A and D strings. So that's a video for another time explaining how to play the rest of this song. But I want to talk about that so I can talk about that part leading into the solo. Now, I used to do this differently. I used to just do it walking all the way down. You know, going, this is like a C add 9, G over B, and then sort of like an A7 sus4 type of chord. And then I used to go down to G, but when I was listening to it, it sounded like he went back up to C and does a pull-off from C to A like that. So that's what I was hearing there. If you hear something different, or if you do it differently, let us know down in the comments. Okay, now to actually jump into the solo part. So this starts off with a classic Chuck Berry type of lick that Eddie Van Halen sort of makes his own by using the whammy bar. So it goes like this. All right, so starting off truly is just a Chuck Berry lick. We're in B minor pentatonic up here in pattern 1 for most of the solo. This is a bend on the 9th fret G string, and then you're going to do a double stop on the 7th fret B and E string. So it sounds like this. And you do that 3 times. And on the after those 3 times, you kind of hit a double stop with the G bend and the B unbent. And you come down, pull off to 7, and then back up to 9. And when you bend up, that's when he kind of hits the dive. So you can kind of practice this separately by going like this. And then just on that bend up is when he hits that whammy bar. So you got. All right, here's section 2. So this is probably the one I spent the most time on. Ironically, when I teach this to students, I don't necessarily spend a lot of time on it because it's hard to nail this 100%. Here's how it sounds. All right, so I usually start off, here's level 1 of doing that lick. Find a pentatonic lick that you can do quickly and repeatedly. So something like this, or like this. Doesn't have to be either of those, but the point is, if you have a lick like that that you can just already do on command, start there instead of trying to get this lick 100% down. And then the ending of the lick is where you can sort of jump back into doing it the way he does it, which is like this. So that's using the blue note. So you got 10, 9, 7, 9, 10. And then you're going to do a full step bend from the 7th fret. So now this part I started doing it that way, but sometimes it sounds like he's going up to that 7th fret B string. So it's kind of hard to tell. Again, this lick just goes by so fast that I think, you know, if you're not trying to 100% this song, that's one way you could do it. Just your own pentatonic lick, and then just kind of go into that ending, and you'll get really the same effect. Okay, so let's jump into what I think he actually is doing. I referenced a couple different tabs. I listened to it slowed down, and this is kind of what I came up with. And I've seen other people do this as well. This isn't totally original to me, but okay, so starts off with sort of one of those stock pentatonic licks I was doing a second ago. So that's going from 9G and then doing like a little hammer on and pull off from 7 to 10 on B. And then from there he kind of extends it. So now he's doing 9G and then 7, 10, 7B. And now he's going up to the high E string, 7, and then 10, 7B. So if you're trying to get this lick down, I would just spend a lot of time doing this. Now, this is definitely one of those that's just weird rhythm-wise. When you hear him do it, it makes sense. So as you start getting faster, just listen to him do it, and you can kind of get that rhythm in your ear a little bit easier. Okay, so the whole lick he does sort of the stock lick there, and then he does the other lick twice. Now he goes to the ending. So you got. All right, and if you have any other questions about that lick in particular, just let us know in the comments. That's a doozy of a lick for sure, but it's really fun if you can even get it just a little bit close. All right, moving on to lick 3. I'm just gonna go ahead and play it for you. Oops, sorry, I kind of messed up that last part. There we go. Okay, so you're gonna start off with the 9th fret bend on the G string. And then while that's bent, you tap and pull off from 14, 12, 14, 16, 14, 12, and then you come down from the bend, pull off the 7, hammer back on to 9, and then you do the same kind of motion he did in the first lick, where you do like a whammy springboard into that bend. And now I've lost on my sustain, but it's like. And then when you unbend, you do a quick little 7 to 9 back to 7 on that. So bend 9, 14, 12, 14, 16, 14, 12, down. So 7, 9, and then when you bend back up is when you do that whammy bar. It's one of those things where it's like, when you're practicing it slowly, don't expect it to sound really close to the lick, because a lot of it is in the sustain that he gets from not a lot of time passing. Because that last bit, I mean, how many notes is that? And he doesn't pick at all, you know? He's just, really, you just pick the very first note, and the rest of the sustain and picking is coming from the pull-offs on your taps and the pull-offs down here. So that's an interesting lick, super fun one though. Overall, one of the things that I would just maybe practice by itself is, well, doing this little tapping technique down here. That's just kind of a fun thing to do. But then also the little springboard technique, like where he's like bending up, but on the way up, it's kind of like hitting that. So it just has this really interesting like spring effect. And that's it for lick number 3. Okay, lick number 4, this is the outro to the solo. Now, this is definitely another one where I say, man, don't worry too much about the timing here, as long as you get to the bridge part in time, because it's just kind of a weird part. It's not on the grid. Let me play it for you real quick. Oops. Okay, so you have that little bridge part, and I didn't really go into the bridge too much, but I'll talk about that briefly as well. Now, when I was practicing this song a lot, my index finger got sore because of all the like full bends that he does on the 7th fret G string with his index finger, and that's not something that I really do a lot in my playing. So, okay, so you're starting off with that, and then you're gonna bar the 9th fret on D and A. So you got, now that first note is like on the and of a beat, and then the next two kind of follow shortly thereafter. This first note's like a little bit longer, but it's like they're almost all the same length of time. Me and Don were talking about it earlier, and it's interesting. It's not really on a grid, so don't worry too much about it. Just do that a few times. Okay, so that happens once, and now with the next one, you have this. So it's almost the same thing, but you don't pause at all after the first little bend. And with these two 9s, you kind of do a little sweep, so it goes through them fast. And you're gonna come down your blues scale, do 8, 7, and when you get down to 5, another index finger full step bend. So you got really weird phrase there. So again, the whole thing. And then you go into the... So as long as you get to that bridge part on time, I don't think it's super important to worry a lot about the rhythm of the part just before it. Now, I did do a little pinch harmonic. Another thing that Eddie Van Halen does a lot is he'll do like a halfway pinch harmonic, which is kind of difficult. It's like a balance, you know. So a lot of times when I'm playing this part of the solo, I'll do too much of a pinch harmonic, and it doesn't sound quite the same. But you know, don't worry too much about it. Just give it a little bit of a dig in on your right hand. And if you don't know how to do a pinch harmonic, that's just when you pick, and then the skin of your thumb touches the string right after you pick. So it kind of like you find a harmonic up here. So that's a good one. And then you can practice it by just picking, and then putting your thumb down on that spot, and then trying to do it really quickly. I find that if you like push down on the string, when your pick lets go, it sort of rebounds and hits your thumb. So that's a little tip for pinch harmonics down there. But that does it for the whole solo. All right, that was the guitar solo from Panama by Van Halen. Don't forget to check out our Patreon and like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.